Peymon who?
Mottahedeh.
Peymon Mottahedeh. Who is he?
Never paid taxes in 30 years. Fought the U.S. tax court and won.
See, I believe our rights come from God, not from government.
Hi, Mike King, realnewsandhistory.com. I'm here to talk to you today about our favorite government agency, the IRS, and how you can be free of the income tax. Before I go any further, I want to give you a word from our sponsor, who's here today, actually, Peymon Mottahedeh. I say that correctly?
Yes,
Good.
yes. I founded Freedom Law School back in 1996. I came across the great work you were doing through a friend. I think it was about maybe 7 years ago. And
I think more than that.
Yeah, that started me in a whole new journey of my wisdom and knowledge that I've been seeking all these years.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So, because I never do sponsorships. I've had people approach me, I turn them down. But number one, I've known you as a reader and a client for almost 10 years. And year in, year out, you're still around helping hundreds, if not thousands of people not pay income tax. So this is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to talk about how it's done, because there's a right way to go about it and a wrong way to go about it. But before we get into the dollars and cents of this issue, why not tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you came from, your background, how you got to this point?
Well, Mike, as a child in Iran, my dad taught me from a very young age to seek knowledge. And I was a voracious reader. I loved to read. And so I started reading. And my dad talked to his friends in my presence, not about cars or sports or fishing or boating. He talked about politics. Arab-Israeli conflict, America versus Soviet Union, Iranian politics, where the government could torture you for criticizing the king, Shah of Iran.
Yeah.
So I always felt like it's wrong for governments to oppress people. People should be free to think and say what they want to say. So when I came to America in 1977, I was quite shocked how America is not as free as it was promised to be. And that led me to this place where I am at. But there was two things that I think were pretty interesting from my childhood. Having been raised in a Jewish family, gone to 9 years of Jewish school, and now completely transformed now to an anti-Zionist, anti-Jewish supremacist understanding.
Yeah.
Even before I met you, I already knew a lot of those things were so.
Right.
Okay, and read your books. My dad, one time I was about 8 years old, I heard him in our living room tell somebody else, I know Zionism and Judaism are not the same, and I'm a Zionist. Now, as a kid who went to Israel several times already at that time, and got relatives there that immigrated over there, it was like, what's the difference? Like most people, I assumed they were the same thing. But my dad said, they're not the same.
Yeah.
And then my dad also had a few good friends, Jewish friends, who are anti-Zionist. And I would think, why would any Jew be against the state of Israel? These are people that my dad respected. He was friends with them. So those kind of things always in the back of my mind were there until I started realizing in college that the Federal Reserve, the Central Bank of America, is privately owned. Yeah. And it was a scam where they make money out of thin air and lend it out at interest, which you very well in your books, Bancarrota, nicely put out there, and also in the great tomato bubble that you wrote was a great expose of that. Yeah. And then when I got into Freedom Patriot movement back in 1992, I knew nothing about the New World Order. They said, well, you got to read this book called The Secrets of the Federal Reserve by Eustace Mullins. And I said, okay, I'll read. I read it, and I found out, wow, they're right. There's a New World Order conspiracy. And then I realized, wait a minute, these guys had met at Jekyll Island, to create the Federal Reserve. The name of most of them sound like from a Jewish bar mitzvah. you know? And before that, I remembered that I read in a book, mainstream book called God and Jews by some mainstream guy, that Jews were the first bankers going back to the Middle Ages, you know, even before that, because, you know, Christianity condemned usury. So by the time Christians got into the act of usury, the Jews were leg, head and shoulder, and waist above them, you know? Yeah. And so all these knowledge kind of came together. So by the time I came across your books, which I recommend to anybody to get, I have all of them. I pay my people to read The Bad War. Right. Okay, I'm bankrupt. Literally, I have my daughters. They finished God and versus Darwin, by the way, recently. So I knew that you were on the right track about what you're saying, but you had in your books revealed so much more truth that I was hungry to know that, things really make sense. Now I can see how pieces all come together and makes more sense. So I want to thank you, Mike.
What were you doing at this time during your awakening, as far as
yes,
prior to starting your business? What were you doing for a living here?
Oh, I had before started Freedom Law School back in 1996. You know, young and poor, typical sub-minimum wage job or commission job. I did 6 years of insurance and mutual fund sales that never went anywhere. I tried that. I had my own mailbox rental place with my friend's father, which we sold at a profit. Sold medical x-ray film. And then I was 29 years old at 1992. I heard about income tax being voluntary. And thought, why would people volunteer? Nobody would want to do that. Yeah. There must be a law. So I went to this meeting, and she proved it to me with the law. And I said to myself, oh my gosh, this is great. Because now we have more money for ourselves, young or poor. I need every penny I make. I hardly ever filed in my life, by the way, but because I made hardly anything. And I thought, and now we can elect real constitutional freedom-loving people like Thomas Massey, like Congressman Ron Paul. Because as a Libertarian Party activist, which I became in '89 as a citizen for the first time, we lacked money to support freedom-loving media, truth-telling media, as well as good political candidates. I thought this is a solution now. We get money for ourselves and to, pay the good politicians to get elected in the office. So back in '92 I started, and then by '96 I learned enough about law from any and all patriots out there I could get my hands on that knew something. I was just a sponge, absorb anything good and get rid of the garbage. I had something good I could tell, because I would start getting compliments from people. Hey, Peymon, your course is really good. It's the best I've ever seen. I said, really? So I said, okay, I'm going to call this thing, let's see, it's about law, it's about freedom, about constitution and procedures, how to beat the IRS. I guess I'll call it Freedom Law School. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's probably already Freedom Law School going to sue me for using their name. Yeah. But I said, well, I found out if there is one that can sue me. Nobody ever did. So Freedom Law School, freedomlawschool.org, is when I started there. And then, even though I knew about the Federal Reserve was a big monster, okay, right. But income tax is a little brother junior of the Federal Reserve.
Well, that's right. They were formed in the same 3 months apart.
Exactly. Same international satanic Jewish bankers who did the Federal Reserve. They shoved through the 17th Amendment to take Senate's control away from the states to masses that could be manipulated. Yeah. They did income tax so they could make sure there's enough money directly taken by the federal government to pay the 6% interest on the loans the bankers were going to make to the federal government. Yeah. This is all planned out. It was no accident that it happened that way. So anyhow, that's kind of how I got going at this thing. But the income tax is my focus because you can do something about it right now. I can't get rid of the Federal Reserve right now, or the wars, or the socialism, all these other problems out there, which I got educated. But I can do something right now to help myself and help anybody else out there, like your listeners who got open eyes to see, open ears to hear, and an open mind to think for themselves. Tell them the truth, help them be free, And then as our movement grows, we get together more, we become much more powerful, get rid of income tax, with all the money now, we could eventually attack the heart of the beast, the Federal Reserve scam, and really restore freedom in America and really in the world. Because these wars these guys create also needs to be stopped as well. So that's kind of a background.
That's right, and it's no accident that the following year, after the Fed and the income tax were instituted, comes the Great War, and there's a sequence.
That's right.
Because ultimately, the United States had to be brought into the war. You're going to need money to pay for it. So, yeah, it all definitely ties in with the war. So would it be accurate to say you haven't paid income tax in about 30 years?
Over 30 years, I have not filed nor paid even $1 to the IRS. IRS knows me very well. I know them very well because they've had me under criminal investigation since 1994 and other investigations. And we've been to court. I have beaten them also. They're published, my victories, on our website, freedomlawschool.org. Okay, I have had students. I help them beat the IRS because IRS knows that I'm right about this, that the people of the 59 states, per the U.S. Constitution and laws as written right now in the Internal Revenue Code, this is the Bible of the IRS, okay? It doesn't apply to people of the 50 states, okay? They know I know the law, and because in America, thank God, they have a jury trial, before they put you in jail, unlike Iran or most of the world, they have to convince 12 regular people that you're guilty, you meant to do something wrong. They know I would beat them in the jury trial. So they never dare to even indict me to put on a trial, to expose their corruption to the jurors, get acquittal, and then American people see me more visible. So right now, our biggest problem is, as you know, the mainstream media is totally controlled. Okay, they don't tell the truth to American people. So they don't want to give a victory by attacking someone that knows. They'd rather just ignore us, hoping nobody hears about Freedom Law School.
That's the best way, is to just ignore you.
Yeah.
But now, what is this? I see you got the nice, sunny red shirt there, not an orange jumpsuit. Like other so-called tax evaders.
Yeah.
So talk about the right way of doing it versus the wrong way of doing it. What is it that's so special? What are you showing people to do? And I know none of your all of your students, how many over the years? Thousands?
I don't know how many people actually officially my students, many thousands, unofficially probably 100,000 or more, because people just grab the material and go with it. The right way is simply based upon the U.S. Constitution, the laws as published by Congress of the United States, U.S. Treasury regulations also, and of course the Supreme Court. That's all I go by. Most other people in the freedom movement who stop filing income tax, they rely on what I call patriot mythology, baseless legal theories like Uniform Commercial Code or UCC theories, straw man, redemption, your name in capital letters, common law versus admiralty jurisdiction arguments, revocation of election, sovereign or state citizen, U.S. national versus U.S. citizen, and on and on and on. There's so many of these nonsense theories out there. And the problem is the average person, Mike, does not know how to go look up and verify things for themselves in the law library. That was my problem back in 1992. That's why it took me about 2 years in the movement to finally go to a law library, look up the court cases, read them, and say, oh, I was being taught about half good but half garbage material. And I started finding the right stuff with the right people I met, and they guided me the right way. Like Sean O'Connor was my main mentor. He's passed away now. That showed me, Peymon, this is a real procedure, how things really work. So by doing that, there was a difference between me and Irwin Schiff and all these other guys that over decades went to prison. The second thing was, I was always focused on winning and being practical and being humble. In other words, I didn't go out there and say, hey, follow me. I know what I'm doing. I know it all. No. I knew I was young. In my late 20s, early 30s. I said, I'm not even from America. So I'm going to just kind of lay back, learn as much as I can from other people, teach other people what I know, but I'm going to rely on this older organization which was around, let them help them out. If any problem, they're responsible because they have more experience than me. And it took me until 2001 when many patriot leaders I knew, like Robert Clarkson, told me, Peymon, you should start helping people, don't just teach them. People really want it done for them. I said, well, I like to teach people how to fish for themselves rather than fishing for them. I'm that kind of a mentality. But I realized that it's just too much for most people. So I combine education, that I still am about, Freedom Law School, with support on limited consultation. Every letter response is done. I'll pay the attorneys to do as I guide them, right? And now it's a thing that really works. Now I got a plan I've had for over 24 years called the Restore Freedom Plan. It's a peaceful way of having a revolution against the crooks and criminals, okay, but for freedom for we the people, which is called restoring freedom, not revolution.
Right. Interesting. Now, I wanted to ask you, because this question has come up. This is not just for business owners. Mm-hmm. A regular W-2 wage earner can escape the IRS, correct?
There's no escaping, because you were never meant to be in prison in the first place, Mike. You know, the income tax, let me tell you about the Constitution, brother. The Constitution was so smart of the Founding Fathers. They created the states, the federal government, as an agent of them to do only 18 specific jobs, like foreign relations, common defense, common money, and common immigration rules, that type of thing. Every other power was remain in the hands of the states or the people. So when it comes to taxes, they said direct taxes must be divided up among the states. Okay? And just like representation in House had to be done the same way. Mm-hmm. So back in late 1700s, early 1800s, they did direct taxes properly many, many times. Okay? And then, again, these international banksters wanted to have a way to make sure the interest and the loans they make to the federal government are going to be paid without having the pesky little states get in the way of it. So they pretended that the 60th Amendment of the Constitution changed things and gave Congress the power to tax average person's pay without apportionment. Okay? And so when they did that act, nobody asked questions because we trusted our government. Founding fathers, Washington, Jefferson, we didn't doubt our government in America. We're gullible, good people. So they kept that scam going over decades until 1942. They started withholding from people's paychecks. Then once they got that scam going, of withholding, they just kept that going after World War II in its present form that we have today. So the challenge is to have American people understand what the Constitution really says and means. And I've deciphered the Internal Revenue Code, the key parts of it, which are simple in there. And it shows in my videos, not only individuals in the 50 states do not have to pay personal income tax. You don't have to pay payroll taxes like FICA, Social Security, self-employment taxes, corporate taxes, gun manufacturing taxes, estate taxes, or gambling taxes. All those taxes are written for Washington, D.C. or territories. But oil taxes, for example, apply to all the 50 states equally. Import taxes, indirect taxes, again, apply to the 50 states equally. And they apply there also. So these are the things they were not taught in a public school system. Just like the history they teach us is not the real story like you teach. It's a bunch of half-truths, half-lies, and half-omissions to deceive us. Same thing here.
Yeah. So when you say that that people don't have to pay the payroll tax, you mean on both ends, the employee, also the employer?
Exactly.
So if somebody owns a business, they're saving the payroll tax and the income tax. The payroll tax is often bigger. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
that's the way we're going to get America back. I help people individually for free. I tell people, look, you're low income, just stop the withholding on a paycheck, which is free on our website, how to do it, freedomlawschool.org, for free. Call us if you have questions, 813-444-4800. We'll help you. Show that on our website. You can do it yourself. Stop withholding. Don't file. You're home, you should be fine, okay? Because IRS does leave the 80 million plus non-filers alone because they have to. There's too many of us. Now, if you want to be protected 100% from marriage, no go to prison, and we pay all the attorneys and work is done by us. If they take your money, we will reimburse you in full, 10,000 or 10 million, it doesn't matter. And if you want to be part of this restoration of America, join hands with George Washington and Jefferson today, people like yourself. That's where the Restore Freedom Plan privilege is available to join hands to do it. Otherwise, I invite everybody, join the tax strike that Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene called for, okay? Yeah. And tax 2026 like it's 1776. Don't pay those crooks, these pedophiles, Epstein partners, the Mossad blackmail operation, any money. You keep it for yourself, and now I have extra to elect people like Thomas Massie. Right now, I'm supporting Congressman Stockman, Steve Stockman of Texas. Good guy. He was also railroaded to prison by DOJ, but that guy went after Trump, okay? But he's running again. I'm supporting him. I'm urging my friends also to support him. We get more people like him in there and get more truth-telling media like your station. America will be free and prosperous once again.
Yeah. So you offer a guarantee to all of your students and clients.
Yeah. And you know why I did that? Because I realized I read the enemy's paperwork. I use the Treasury auditors of the IRS reports. You know, I read the Taxpayer Advocate report, IRS's publication, and I saw that in 2017, IRS management officially decided to leave non-filers alone. Because they said that it's not profitable.
In 2017?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
They stopped going after non-filers. Yes, if you stop filing altogether, year after year, they'll leave you alone. That's what they decided.
Right.
And IRS auditors, Treasury told them, why are you doing that? This is dangerous. You should, go after these guys. And IRS said, sorry, we don't have the budget. Because filers are easy target because when you sign a 1040 form under penalty of perjury, under oath, like you're before a judge and jury, you put the rope around your neck, literally, and you give it to the IRS. Please, IRS master, don't pull on my chain. I did this because I've been brainwashed to believe that that's a safe thing to do is to file a 1040 confession form year after year. That belief is so ingrained in me, I do it every year just habitually. Please don't pull on my chain. Go pull on someone else's chain. Don't make me prove my expenses, deductions, credits, all that stuff. Don't try to put me in jail because I don't know what I'm doing. My accountant, CPA, he doesn't understand the tax laws. He just pretends to. I know, but I have no choice to go to that guy because he's the only guy that claims to know the law at all. And that's why people do that.
The key is not to sign anything.
That's number one.
Essentially, you're taking, I guess, the equivalent of a Fifth Amendment.
You give up your right to be silent, and you say under oath, you on the IRS, this amount on line 37. You actually say, like your neighbor, Joe, under oath, I swear I owe you $1 million. So when he wants a year later to come take your bank account, you can't complain. Why am I taking my money? Well, because you told me under oath that you owe me money. That's all the IRS is doing.
Yeah. So that's as simple as that, is doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And Freedom Law School, you're there to make sure people do it the right way. And you're so sure of it that you offer the money back guarantee if there's any late penalties. And frankly, that's not even the end of the world if that did happen. As long as you didn't sign, let's say theoretically, you owed your taxes anyway, right?
Right.
The penalty is what, like 3% or something like that?
No, we pay the person back anything the IRS takes. Tax, penalty, interest, we reimburse everything. If the people do like founding fathers of America, join hands, Washington, Jefferson, Franklin, they get together.
You mean even the taxes, like let's say theoretically, they ended up paying the taxes that they were planning on paying anyway. You reimburse that.
If the IRS takes any money from them by force, we reimburse whatever the IRS took.
Right.
Right.
Because you know you won't have to.
Because I know, because the reality is there's 80 plus million non-filers, okay, according to IRS's best numbers. And when you don't file and confess you owe the IRS money, IRS to come after you, they must make an official document called the Notice of Deficiency. Mail it to you by certified mail. Now you can go to tax court and without paying anything to the IRS, have a full-blown trial to challenge them that could take a couple, 3 years or longer. And they have only about 20 tax court judges. There's no way these 20 judges can come after even a small fraction of the 80 million plus non-filers in America. You see? Right. Because the burden of proof is on the government to prove their proposal is correct because they're making the assertion. Whereas when you file, you already hung yourself by the confession on that 1040 form. That's how the game works. Just like Ardo Sun Tzu, Mike, remember? Sun Tzu said the best way to win a war is what? Convince
know your enemy and
your enemy.
Make believe you're weak when you're strong, and vice versa.
Yes, they believe that they're weak, you're strong, and just surrender without a fight. That's what people do when they sign that 1040 confession from wage earners, business owners, investors. Doesn't matter, crypto owners, all of you, just stop signing those forms and don't send any more money to your enemies.
What about like the big fish? Big guys. Mm-hmm. Might the IRS have a tendency to go after them more aggressively with this sort of stuff? Like, I know what you're saying about the 80 million non-filers. They're small potatoes. But if you could talk about, a heavy hitter, a guy with a major business, lots of money, big payroll, what would you say to him?
How about a guy that owed the IRS $100 million in taxes? How about those guys? Because back in 2020, IRS Treasury, the U.S. Treasury put out the report to the IRS. They examined the IRS. They said that high-income non-filers are being left alone by the IRS. That's high income was someone making over $100,000 in 2019 and 3 years before that. And in there, not only they criticize the IRS for leaving high-income non-filers alone, they give IRS a list of 100 richest non-filers that the U.S. Treasury auditors identified for the IRS. We examined the IRS's records. And they said, IRS, here's a list of 100 guys that each owe about $100 million each. Go after them.
Yeah.
Now, you would think, or your viewers think, the IRS would say, well, of course, easy, love to do that. Guys, let's get just 10 of you guys, and each of you take 10 of these guys, very rich guys, go make easy $10 billion, right? Wrong.
I think. Yeah.
The IRS gave the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration the middle finger and said, no. We're not going to do this thing until we get enough resources. They don't have enough resources to go after these people.
Well,
$10 billion.
Trump is cutting them off.
Well, that was before Trump. That was in 2020.
2019?
That was 2020. They said that to the Treasury auditors. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So because remember, these are IRS is a classic communist entity that no one owns it. Okay? Nobody ever gets fired because you cannot fire federal workers. It's practically impossible to do so. So the bad stuff stays, the good people leave, and decade after decade of laziness, corruption, people are incompetent, bad habits, drunk, angry, they don't work well together. They just get paid, collect a paycheck, do nothing. And that's how the Soviet Union collapsed. When Lenin and Stalin had several decades of murdering tens of millions, okay, opposition was gone. But then what happened in mid-50s to 1985, before Gorbachev came to power in 85, by that time, it was a whole new generation of people that were not those murderers of Stalin, okay? Yeah. And these guys were just collecting a paycheck. And that's why the system fell apart from within. And that's what's going on with the IRS right now. Yeah. So they cannot stop us, Mike. We're just going to get together. And that's why I can give a guarantee, because I know at most they'll come up to a very small number of people. You know, but the money that I make, let me tell you this, Mike, is not for me to become a billionaire. That's not my goal. My goal is to fund, more truth-telling podcasters like you to get bigger and more successful, reach and wake up and empower more people.
It's happening. Oh, yeah.
We can get some of that money also, then fund good politicians like Ron Paul and Thomas Massey to represent the American people's interest and have this country be free and prosperous once again.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you because I believe the biggest objective, I'm sure you'll agree, or the biggest obstacle for people to move forward on something like this is that residual fear. Yeah, it sounds good, but what if they come after me? But I don't know when the IRS is going to go, but it's clear that they're already, with their enforcement mechanisms, weakening anyway. Mm-hmm. So and now is the time to really liberate oneself.
It really is, because you got to recognize that you have the power. Yeah. The same corrupt major media that told you CIA, FBI are your best friends. Our militaries are to protect you from bad guys. Yeah. Our Federal Reserve is part of the government. Same ones told you that IRS is as powerful as Godzilla. They'll eat you alive if you stop filing income tax. Whoa! Be afraid of the IRS! And you keep filing those 1040 forms under oath. Look at the 1040 form, folks, you signed last year. It says under penalties of perjury, you signed that form. Did your accountant, your tax attorney, tell you what that means? I bet you not. Because if they did tell you, you would not sign it, because with that one signature, you can go to federal tax prison for 3 separate crimes for up to 9 years of prison for one 1040 you sign and give to the IRS. Yeah. See, education, Mike, is the answer. Yeah. You know that, you're an educator, so I'm trying to do a different area to empower people to live free and get our America to be free.
Oh, no, you're doing God's work, and you're living testimony all these years. Nobody's touched you. You're certainly not going to go after most of your students who are probably even lower wage earners. I would imagine a lot of these W-2 people, well, forget that. 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 a year.
Yeah. Yeah. They have touched me, Mike. They have touched me. Let me tell you, they do touch me. Back in about 15 years ago, but I did a FOIA copy of all my files from the IRS that on me. It took me a year and a half, to redact and don't give me 8,500 of those 10,000 pages they had on me. Yep. I mean, they have me on the criminal investigation. I'm not kidding you, since 1994, and I'm not in jail. And so the bottom is that I'm the leader, and they can't even get me. For the average person, there's too many of you out there.
They weren't coming after you for taxes. They're coming after you because you're helping people.
Exactly.
So they couldn't get you.
That's right.
Let me ask you this. What about people who've got some arrears? They're not facing prison, but maybe they owe 2-3 years, and it's adding up. Can you help them?
Yes or no. If they sign those 1040 confession forms and they said, IRS, I'll give this much money.
Yeah.
I can't get him out of that. Sorry. I had people come to me, October 16th, Peymon, I just heard about you. My extension passed. I filed all the IRS. $200,000 I confessed on my 1040. Can you get me out of it?
Yeah.
Sorry. But from now on, I can help you give them nothing. And with that, if you want, you can pay the IRS off, or don't save it just in case IRS comes after you, because IRS is such a big trouble. From about 2011, 10 years later, number of forced collections on people's paycheck, bank accounts, levies, has gone down by over 90%.
Really?
Really. That is a failed organization. Not by the major media and accountants, CPAs who make money off of you filing tax returns, tell you, oh no, you better file. You go to prison like Urban Schiff and these guys, or where's these snipes back there? That's what they do because they make money off of you.
It sounds to me like, people within are kind of demoralized, don't give a damn anymore. There's probably a lot of that going on.
The old generation, Mike. No, the older generation that remember the old days of IRS from 1950s to the early 2000 years. Those guys remember Joseph Stalin days of the Soviet Union. They're afraid. But listen, I'm telling you guys, since about 2000, the collapse of the IRS started. After 2010, it expedited. And then the Corona hoax came several years ago. And that really put a caboose to IRS's neck. The IRS computers are still running 1960s COBOL assembly language, over 100 computer systems that don't talk to each other. Think about that. It's beyond repair.
What else I notice? Maybe you've noticed this too. I'm really good at noticing things that aren't happening anymore, that should be happening. Not just the things that do happen.
Right.
And I can remember forever, every year, there'd be a big celebrity, an athlete, right? Some big name person, they would trot out in the news, this person didn't pay their taxes. Up here in New York, there's a couple big baseball players, Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry. Remember Martha Stewart?
That's right.
The day they got after Joe Louis and Jesse Owens, Wesley Snipes. That was like a spectacle. And of course, the media is in collaboration with these criminals.
Of course.
To show you, look, this guy's rich and famous, everybody loves him, and we got him. So don't you think about it. I can't think of anybody these last 10 years. Can you?
Yep. No. Wesley Snipes was the last guy. And Wesley Snipes was about 15 years ago, something like that. They got him? Yeah.
So that's interesting.
You notice that
aligns with what you're saying.
Yes. I mean, I knew IRS was falling apart back in 12, 13, 14 because there were less people coming to me, non-filers with issues. Then I got this report of the U.S. Treasury that the IRS deliberately chose to leave non-filers alone. I said, oh, there's the proof I was looking for.
Right from government documents.
Their own documents. And they can see it all for free at freedomlawschool.org. I have 7 steps on there to free yourself of IRS deception. See, with that deception, Mike, that's how they get you to be afraid. With that fear now, they control your mind, and now they can make you a slave and rob you all they want. So what's the solution? Education. Get out of ignorance. At freedomlawschool.org, the 7 steps are there. You can do it for free. Or you can join the Restore Freedom Plan to protect each other if you want to. But I'll tell you something interesting, Mike. We have petitions on our website for free, 3 of them, about income tax, payroll taxes. Now, we urge everybody to send their congressman and confront them and say, look, here's a law, quote it, attach, even highlight it. It shows the people in 50 states like me owe 0 income tax, 0 payroll taxes. If I'm wrong, please correct me clearly, specifically. I will humbly pay my fair share of taxes. But if I'm right, you cannot refute me. Get with other Congress members and stop the crooks in IRS and DOJ and some crooked judges to enslave the American people. Now, we've done this thousands of times, and people that are known thousands of times. You know how many times any congressman has come to us and responded, show that we're wrong?
Zero.
Exactly. Zero time. It's the law right there. We quote it from their own websites.
And I'll tell you something, they've got staffs that take care of all that stuff. You can write your congressman on anything, you're going to get a response. They're very sensitive to that.
Actually, they don't know. Most often they just ignore us. They don't even respond. That's how bad it is.
Exactly, right.
If you get some BS response, better than at least no response,
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about the various states. What are the implications with the 50 states? Can you just take this and apply it to the states? Or are we talking now about different systems with the different states?
Well, 8 states like Texas, Tennessee, Florida don't have state income tax, so that's easy there.
Right.
But the other 42 states that do claim to have a state income tax, vast majority of them, okay, attach their income tax to the federal tax law definitions or the federal tax form. So if you don't have to file a federal tax form, it's zero on the federal tax form for you, it would go zero on the state tax form, and you owe zero. So vast numbers of them are like that. A few of them, like Pennsylvania, Alabama, Mississippi, and I think Arkansas, there's a few states.
New Jersey, I think.
New Jersey, we thought it was, but it's not. We thought it was.
It's not.
Yes. We make it small. We double-checked on New Jersey. It actually follows federal tax forms.
Okay.
If you don't have the W-2 or the 1099, then you put zero on the New Jersey tax form also. Yeah. So those states are independent. In Pennsylvania, you have to pay Pennsylvania state income tax.
Yeah. So for most people, it's you're going to get rid of the state and the federal.
And we have a map on our website at freedomlawschool.org of all these states. It shows every state, which ones you follow the federal law or don't. And you can go there, and all these tools, information is there at freedomlawschool.org. But we encourage people, call us. If you have questions,
Right.
yes, I actually have real human beings who love to take your call and answer your questions at 813-444-4800 to help you live free.
We'll
And
put everything in the links below.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
Yeah. No, this is solid, and I think you were on my case with this 10 years ago, and I went through that process too. I don't know. What about Irwin Schiff? Talk about Irwin Schiff, who's the pioneer of so-called tax rebellion.
Yes.
And for years, I mean, personally, I think his mistake was he seemed to stick it in their nose too much. No?
Well, first, I love her.
Almost like daring the IRS too much to come after him.
Yeah, he's the father of Peter Schiff, the famous financial planner.
That's right.
He's a friend of mine. In fact, back then, Peter Schiff was a young guy like me. I met him at his dad's seminar, like a young guy like me back in 2000 when I met Peter Schiff. Yeah. Everyone was a great guy, colorful guy, intelligent guy, and loved people, and was a good speaker too, interesting to hear. But his weakness was, one, he didn't understand how corrupt the courts are and what to do about them.
Yeah.
See, I realized the courts were corrupt, the deep state, way back then, early 90s. So I said, look, wait a minute. That means that I got to be double or triple smart as them and plan things, my victory, in advance before they come after me. Because I know they got to follow these steps, and I'm going to get them before they get to where they want to go. That's what I did. So I focused on procedure, technical ways of being the IRS, which most patriots like Irwin Schiff didn't know how to do. So Irwin went to jail several times because he didn't know about this stuff. That's why he went to prison. The last time he went to prison, in 2006, when he was indicted, I went from Los Angeles to Las Vegas where he lived. I said, Irwin, let me and the top guys in the movement help you win. Your win is our win. We want to work with you. I can't have you win. No charge. I wasn't going to charge him nothing. Unfortunately, he chose to say to me this, nah, they have a case against me. Okay, Irwin, I can take a horse to water, but I cannot make it drink. And today, too many people get into this common law, citizenship arguments, revocation of election, and straw man, all the patent mythologies, and that's the problem. Don't go all these theories. Verify everything, which is why, Mike, I love your books, because at the end you say, put these search terms on the internet and verify this claim for yourself.
Yeah.
You know? People should take a time and verify at least some of those things for themselves to realize, oh, wait a minute, Mike King, his stuff is accurate. Freedom Law School, Peymon, what he says is correct.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you know, you made a believer out of me, and now it's only enhancing that even further is this different world which is emerging under Trump. You know, I don't know how, you know, I expect the IRS would be around for a while longer, but certainly already by now, and it's even deeper than I thought. I thought it's okay that they're shorthanded, a lot of people being laid off. My own CPA told me that. But now you're telling me there's actually internal documents where they're basically saying, we don't have the manpower, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is definitely the time to strike, and don't do it on your own. Go to freedomlawschool.org. The link is below. I'm going to have it below. And, you know, this is definitely a good thing that you're doing. I'm sure you have the same kind of feeling I do when I get emails and even letters sometimes. People so grateful that I opened their eyes regarding historical matters. Now you're doing it in the economic sphere, but you're putting money in their pocket. That's even better.
Their own money.
So,
no, their own money back in their pocket. So what I did was this. I said, look, if you want to join the Restore Freedom Plan, which you don't have to, it's a privilege, it's an option only. Yeah. You keep 70% of what you would have given to the IRS for yourself and your family. 30% goes into the Restore Freedom Plan to educate you and protect you 100% from the IRS. Now, then you could take some of that 70% if you want to, contribute to Thomas Massey. You know, people like him, like I gave, my wife and I each gave $3,500 to Congressman Stephen Stockman of Texas, because I want that man in there to go and give him the face of all the crooks and criminals, you know, in government, about why are we enslaving the American people, you know, so people can have that option. And listen, to me, it wasn't about money. I know your listeners, your viewers, really care about truth and freedom. And the great thing is, Mike, it is so liberating to have that confidence. Like, I got that. I can smile and say, IRS, who's that? They're not a Godzilla. They're just a lizard who has no firepower. But it's one thing to know it if the people take the time to educate themselves, which is free at freedomlawschool.org.
Well, I mean, that's, you know, thank you for your time today. It's very informative, and I hope, because I know there's been quite a few people watching my programs who've expressed interest, and there's always that psychological barrier, and it's such a good idea. They got to meet you, so you're a real guy, a straight-up guy, a good man, and like you said, there's no need to be afraid. What is it you say? Fear is the acronym for?
Fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
Fear. The deception is how they get you. You know, this is the battle of good versus evil. Evil uses deception to get you to hate the Germans, get the corona jab, you know, blame the Arabs for 9/11. Okay?
Yeah.
Whereas you seek the truth, you know, I know what's going on. I'm not buying all this. But here, you can additionally know the truth. You can actually do something about it. Keep the money that belongs to you in the first place. And if you choose, put part of that in the Restoring Freedom in America for your children and grandchildren, Mike. So I really want to thank you, my friend, for taking your time, accepting my sponsorship proposal I gave you, folks. Mike didn't have a sponsor. I said, he needs a sponsor. So I called Mike. I said, Mike.
First time.
I said, you need a sponsor. Let me sponsor you. I will support your work.
Only because, you know, it's a subject I'm passionate about. I wrote Bancarata, The Great Tomato Bubble, and I just completed another book that I'm going to send you a copy. It's called Apologies to J.P. Morgan, and that might sound a little surprising to you. But the official story of 1913 Jekyll Island is actually a little different. than what we have been led to believe. It actually started out as an honest idea that got hijacked by certain people.
Okay.
So there's a twist. There's a twist to it. Okay. But that whole period in our history where these institutions were imposed upon us, the federal income tax and the Federal Reserve, it actually goes back. The process begins in 1900. The treachery,
right,
the lies, the propaganda, the murder. What a story!
Yeah.
All built up. It's it's like a spy novel. So then, by the time you get to 1913, you understand just how bad and how important it was to them. Because then comes the World War I and the League of Nations, and then the World War. But they couldn't have that. Everything had to go in sequence.
Right.
They had to have the Fed and the income tax before that.
That's right.
There's an untold story there.
That's right.
We had a president and a vice president die within a year of each other.
Right. And got Teddy Roosevelt in there. The crooked man that
got stuck with Teddy Roosevelt.
That's right.
Who was the first progressive. But a lot of people aren't aware that how important McKinley's murder, the murder of McKinley in 1901 was.
Right.
And the year before that, his vice president, who was just like McKinley, 55 years old, just dies suddenly. And that's how we got Teddy. But all of that leads it to 1913.
Right.
And we're undoing 1913. And you're a big part of that, what you're doing. So, God bless you.
Thank you.
And continued success.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me on your program. I appreciate you.